basically the psychologists, the socio-economic reformers, so they started thinking what exactly needs to be done. So how do we give our idea a direction? So basically, we have thousands of ideas coming in every day. So either not every day. I mean, like we come up with so many ideas, but all it matters is execution. So so I'm seeing some responses here. Basically, written some Google Forms. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. So I understand that. Okay, so everybody has some basic knowledge or have not done user research before. So yeah, so like I was saying, we get, I mean, bumped with so many ideas. But if you want to execute things, user research is going to give you a direction, basically. So let's say from the open sea, you just want to take a little bit of flow in the right direction. You just got to build a canal first. So basically, while building this canal, there is some groundwork put in. So basically, this is user research. So it gives you a direction. So user research and design thinking go hand in hand. So that's how companies are expecting people to work nowadays. So they want top research done in a design thinking perspective. So either it can be in a design thinking perspective or it can be in a design sprint. So design sprint is something which it basically in Google we have a 5 day sprint. So you have 5 days. So first day you just define the problem, second day you understand it, third day you collect the artifact, fourth day you prototype, and fifth day you validate it. So in 5 days you will know whether the idea which you have in mind is going to be feasible or will it work out, and it will give you more structure to your problem itself. First thing, we get an idea, but what is the problem it's going to solve? That is the most important thing. So let me start off by sharing my screen. Just hold on guys, 1 second. Yeah. So this is just a brief about me. So what I do, and so what are the things which makes me curious. So I basically want to drive digital transformation, and I want to fill this missing piece of product puzzle with actionable insights and findings. So basically, user research is all about getting actionable insights and data, and the curiosity to ask the right questions to find the right answers. So in research, when it comes to user research, so if you see this pyramid here, so first thing is secondary research, second one is qualitative, and third one is quantitative. So basically, user research is an amalgamation of these three things. One is secondary, qualitative, and quantitative. So secondary research can be anything. I mean, if you want to read a research paper and get some inputs from there, you want to go browse the internet, you want to go look up at your competitor's website and try to understand certain things, or you want to just go to an app and see where the placements are. So what is the call to action button? So just analyzing things with already available data on the internet, basically. So internet covers 80% of qualitative research. There are books as well, but right now the main source is internet. The second one is qualitative. So basically in qualitative, what happens is I don't want to, okay, Irfan. Oh, that's weird, Irfan. I mean, even I'm not sure why I mean, your name is popping up. Yeah, but I do see. I mean, So yeah, anyways, so yeah, this is how it works. It's just an amalgamation. I told about secondary research. Second one is qualitative data. So what is qualitative data? Qualitative data is nothing but I go and have a conversation with my friend or my coworker or my boss. There is a lot of exchange happening there. A lot of information is being generated. It is not there, but it is being generated. So you feel and you think and you say it. So this is basically qualitative data. So qualitative data is generated in various forms. I mean, one of the most important form after COVID is one-on-one IDIs. IDIs are nothing but in-depth interviews. So these IDIs basically is like connecting with a person, asking them a lot of questions and trying to understand their perspective about a product. That's basically qualitative. So qualitative data is basically semi-structured. Then you have to analyze and make it in a structured format and derive the actions and insights. The third one is quantitative data. Quantitative data can be anything. So let's say that I'm just pulling up a few records from my database using SQL, and I'm just checking my website logs, or I do a mass survey of the likability of out of 1 to 10, how much do you like my product. So 10,000 people fill this form, and all these data are quants. So basically the quantitative aspect of data is mostly on numbers. So you perform certain kind of calculations, then you arrive at conclusions. So this quantitative data and data scientists are very closely related. So data scientists, they run a lot of tests, statistics are used to arrive at a conclusion. So this is the data which is generated, but it is in a very quantitative form. You cannot what do you say? You cannot just analyze it in a way the same as the way you analyze qualitative data. So both are a little different. So yeah, so these are the most important research. So either it can go vice versa. First I do secondary research, then I do qualitative and quantitative, or the first one I from my quantitative data, then I do a secondary research, then I validate my findings with qualitative. So what you see here is the product market fit pyramid. I think I explained this in the last session as well. So in this pyramid, if you see, basically the target customer is the base. So whatever product or service you're building, the base is the customer. And on top of the customer, he is looking for a service or a product to fulfill his unfulfilled needs. So they basically those are the underserved needs. Excuse me. And the topmost part is the value proposition. For any product or service that you're doing, you need to create value. Creating value is the most important thing. So when you talk about a company like Apple, so they have been delivering value. So until Steve Jobs was there, the most important value the company is not their phones or their iPods or their MacBooks. It's the people that work at Apple. So Steve Jobs wanted to create a value at the kind of people that work at Apple. That is why he was very good in recruitment and hiring people, and as well as very good in marketing. So value can be of anything. I mean, if you're creating value by the kind of people you hire, so definitely the outcome is going to be huge. But let's come to a very smaller perspective, and let's say you're building a product. Creating a value proposition is just like selling benefits. So what problem is your product or service solving? And on top of that, you build a certain set of features which assist in solving this problem. And on top of that is the UX part, where the user literally gets to experience the product in a digital way or a physical format also. So that is just the aesthetic part and the usability of the product. So in between these things lie the product strategy pyramid or the product market fit pyramid. This exact line is just analyzing these data of wants and needs, the goals and aspirations from a target customer, and by fulfilling their underserved needs. While talking to users or customers, target customers, you basically would have what I'm saying. So you basically would have gathered some data and created some insights to further build up on your product. So this is how it exactly works. So this in between this product market fit, you filter out a lot of unwanted noise and you just bring in these actionable insights or points. that is going to help you frame the value proposition. And on the top of that, you build the features and then you present it to the users in a platter. So that's how this works. So coming to in-depth user research on how to choosing the right method. So if you just look at this flow, the first one is stakeholder interactions. So let's say whatever you are doing, let's say whatever problem you come up with, the stakeholder is, if you're working for somebody or if somebody is invested in your company, so they would have certain kind of ideas. Okay, let's try to go and figure out, let's try to build an app that solves the junk food or helps promote people to have healthy food or choose healthy food habits. So this is just a basic stakeholder idea. So he's just coming up with his idea and he's saying that, yeah, I just want to, this is what's going on in my head and let's build something over this. Then as a user researcher, the most important thing is to derive metadata. So metadata is nothing but the supporting facts for the problem or the idea which the stakeholder said or your boss said, or if you are a freelancer or you're doing something on your own, it's something which you have in your head. You're the stakeholder yourself. So the first thing is to derive the correct metadata. So to derive the metadata, we need to clarify the context of the problem itself. So the clarifying the context of the problem, it cannot be vague. So I cannot just be like, I need to create a food app which will solve unhealthy eating habits. So that is not solving anything, or that itself is not a problem statement. So this is just the idea what you got. And from this idea, you got to ask a lot of clarifying questions and you need to clarify the context of this itself. Then parallelly, what needs to be done is we need to be curious. As a researcher, we always need to be curious, even though your stakeholder or your boss is coming and asking you, okay, this is the idea I have in mind. As a researcher, you need to be curious about what kind of questions would be right for the user, and never lose sight of the problem statement. Never losing sight of the problem statement is basically when with solving unhealthy eating habits. So that is the problem statement, and there should be no diversion from the core. The core here is solving unhealthy eating habits, but how, where, and why is not yet defined. But you stick onto this. You never lose direction of this, because when you're doing research, there might be a situation where you say, instead of unhealthy eating habits, when you talk to certain users, they would be like, I would prefer. I would just prefer something from my favorites. So that was something from my favorite restaurants. So either is it healthy or unhealthy? I mean, it doesn't concern me much, but I want to satisfy my appetite and I want to do that. So here you might bump up with, okay, what if we make a product where people can choose their favorite food from their favorite restaurants? So this is completely losing sight of the problem statement. So this should never happen. This should never happen in user research. You should always stick to the problem statement. Then mindful collaboration. So basically in mindful collaboration, in if you're a user researcher, first thing is like, there are a lot of teams surrounding you. One is the product team, the engineering team, the sales team, and the UX teams, the UX, UI, and UX design teams. So you should be thinking first whom to collaborate with at which step of the process. So choosing this upfront, even before you frame your problem statement, just having a rough brief about it is definitely going to help you. The next one is supporting data that backs the problem statement. The supporting data which backs the problem statement is nothing but, firstly, the target audience. Who are we designing this for? Provide a high level segmentation. When I say high level segmentation, yeah, I think there's a lot of questions. Ram, do these users look at the final product in UX, or is it just wireframes and testing and usability testing? So it depends from which on which life cycle the product is. It can also start from the basic ideation phase, and it can also go up to the feedback phase. I want to understand what makes user click on my ads. So definitely we'll come back to all the questions. Let me walk you through the presentation first. So as I was saying, let's create a high level segmentation of this audience. So high level segmentation is like we cannot go and target each and every one. So let's say my product is for people who are obese. So you want obese people to follow a healthy eating style. So that is why you're designing that. So obese people in this particular age category, irrespective of gender, from this particular location is your demography, basic demography. So that is how you, do a high level segmentation. Then the product background. So this is which stage the product life cycle is in. So this can be either it can be in the ideation phase, or there might be already an MVP, or there could also be any other research study which was done in the past, but it was scrapped as there were no much improvements. So these things need to be looked at. So when you're approaching a problem, you need to ask the supporting people, so was there any study done for this before I approach the problem? So are you planning to do an MVP as early as possible, or what exactly are we trying to achieve here, and what stage? So are we starting from zero, or do we have any facts that we've already generated so that I have some direction to go in? Then what problem are we solving, and goal of this research, basically. So once the metadata is derived and supporting data that backs the problem is derived, then we arrive at the problem statement. So arriving at the problem statement is basically having more clarity. Let me explain this to you in a case study in the upcoming slides. So once you do the problem statement, once you define the problem statement, then comes choosing a user research method. So either it is qualitative or quantitative, or if it's behavioral versus attitudinal. Behavior is basically observing the users, and attitudinal is like listening to them, talking to them, and getting data. So, so I just wanted to share a case with you so that basically you guys can understand better on how to choose a user research method. So, comprehensive selling. So, comprehensive selling is something which I have. This is something which is. It's like bulk selling. So, you guys have heard of India Mart. So the idea is like there won't be a lot of people. So basically, how it works in India Mart is there is a wholesaler or a manufacturer. As a customer, you go and buy 100 pieces from him. But in comprehensive selling, what happens is there is a product. Let's say there is a product. There is a manufacturer. He has 100 pieces in stock, and he does not have to wait for that one customer to buy that 100 pieces. Instead, 100 people will form a union and get the product at the lowest price from the market. So it's not going to be the retail price, it's going to be a D2C model. So for this, the high level questions, what the stakeholders mind. So the starting, what I told, when you're having the stakeholder intervention. So what can be innovated in the Indian e-commerce space? How can we reshape Indian e-commerce? So what are the problems that we're trying to solve in e-commerce? So these are the questions that would come to you. Then you have the metadata, what I told you, and the supporting data. So what paved my way for this study, the supporting data from the secondary research, is Google Analytics data. So what this is spike in sales, seasonal discounts. So this was a trend in the Indian market. So people basically want to know more about how people are convinced in making a switch. So how does a purchase end? So how many people are abandoning the cart? And in India, of course, when we did a festival sales like Diwali, Christmas, and in US it's like so these are the most driving forces for people to do a purchase in online. And the biggest players like Flipkart, Amazon, everybody knows. So I think the traffic on these particular sites on these particular days is Okay, so what happens exactly happens here is SERP analysis. Basically, when we do a Google search, we either hit on a lot of results with organic searches appear, organic search results appear, as well as ads also appear. But in SERP, ads prioritized in SERP results. So you will exactly get to know how many ads are running for a particular term. So let's say if I want to buy let's say a spare part for my mic, so I will just enter in the SERP analysis that particular term, let's say alloys. If I enter alloys, so irrespective of the organic search results, it will show me added information on the advertised categories of the alloys. All these ads would pop up. So this would show that what kind of discounts or what kind of deals Indian people are preferring. So based on that data, what we do is then we arrive at the problem statement. So the problem statement is basically just tend to look for deals and discounts while shopping online, and it is one of the most important factors that influence purchase decisions. Deal discounts are and is less transparent. Parallelly, Indian sellers also face low sales volume and stocks are stagnant outflow due to many factors. So this is the problem here. So the deals and discounts currently very in e-commerce space, and so when we're talking about transparency, let's say that many we hit on a particular product, especially in Amazon, it would be like they would be striking that off and they would be giving you a, so we really think that okay, I'm getting this product at a 50, 60% off, but that's not true. So because this there is very less transparency, they just want to get attract people with that 60% off keyword, but that's not true. So the original price of the profit is only so much, and on top of that the merchant is making a specified amount of profit. So this made us arrive at this problem statement. So then the next one is like creating a research brief. So brief is basically uh, first thing is like you need to create a research. So whatever you are doing, you need to create a research plan for your idea, or the kind of for the just to make sure that you are in the right path. So creating a research brief is very important. So it just identifies your objectives. So it just sorry, I think my video lagging. So am I audible? Awesome. I think now it's audible. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, so the next one is creating a research brief, and the first thing, always empathize with the users. In this case, the users for us are the sellers whose stocks are stagnant due to less seasonal outflow, or they're not able to fulfill their stocks. Basically, this is what our users are going to be here in this study. So for this, we had preferred remote IDIs, remote in-depth interviews, and contextual inquiry. So there are hundreds of user research methods which you can choose from. But here, why we preferred in-depth interviews and contextual inquiries is because we wanted to talk to Indian sellers, and most of these sellers or merchants, they might be from not the right background, as we know. I mean, they might not have the knowledge in English, so there might be a regional there might be regional folks also, they might not be very comfortable in English. So for this we chose contextual inquiry, because contextual inquiry is like directly going to their place and trying to understand them in their own environment when they're doing their day-to-day tasks. So let's say I go to a seller and I ask him, day to day what do you do? So instead of, if he's explaining us over the call, there might be some information lost, or there might be a gap which is established. Just to break this gap, we just also did a contextual inquiry. In remote in-depth interviews, we're going to get on telephone and we're going to ask the questions whatever we want. And contextual inquiry is just to break the gap in case we miss out on any data. So we want to make sure we get the right data and the data is non-biased. And the next one is establishing the objectives. So here, what are we trying to establish? So we want to target the seller profiles. So identify which type of sellers might be interested in this concept, gauge the desirability of the seller, identify seller goals and aspirations, identify risks and roadblocks, and identify the right product verticals. Then the next one is the participation criteria. This is very important while choosing, after choosing the user research method, you need to just come up with a number or a threshold for your number of participants. So here currently we're going with 30 participants, and 30 participants is very good for your interview. Not more, not less. 20 to 30 is perfect to get unbiased data. Otherwise, your data might be biased if you go with lesser number of users. So in participation criteria, we have criteria like seller type. Example, either he's an organized retailer or a wholesaler or distributor or a small manufacturer or a service provider who might be interested, and the seller size. So is he from an SMB or a large business, or seller product verticals? So for which vertical he is in, FMCG, grocery, apparel, etc., etc. Then the next one is the online and the geography. Is he an online seller or an offline seller, or is a mix of both? And then the geography. The next one, I think we need to go to the screener questions. So after choosing the participation criteria, not everyone you're going to call are going to qualify. So we need to have some screener questions. So the general introduction script, like, hi, we're calling from so-and-so, and we're reaching out just to understand more about your business and your pain points and your aspirations. So in screener questions, could you tell us about the nature of your business? So here you have a criteria for selection or termination. Terminate if only selling offline, because we don't want, since we are doing a lot of research only on e-commerce, which is online, we're going to terminate the seller if he's selling only offline. So which platforms are you currently selling on? Proceed only if he's selling in major platforms like IndiaMart, Amazon, and Flipkart. So we established this criteria because if he's not prominent on these kind of online platforms, which is very famous, he might be a little tech savvy, and it would take us a lot of additional work in explaining him the concept and buying him on board. So that's a little bit of additional work which we wanted to avoid. That is why we had this criteria. And what kind of products do you sell offline or online? So this is just to basically understand the industry and the vertical. So, and last one is, do you offer deals and discounts while selling online? If he's offering, then proceed. If he's not offering, then terminate. We go with another participant, sourcing another participant. Then once the screener questions are done, then it's most important to deciding the themes and the post screener questions. So always keep in mind, when you're doing a user research study, have your themes predefined. In this case, we have deals and discounts as the most important theme and some questions backing that up. The next one is like understanding the desirability for this comprehensive selling. Are you in for this idea? The merchant, how desirable is he for this idea? Or does this interest him? So understanding the desirability is also a most important thing. The next one is general business operations. So we wanted to get an idea about the merchants, the sellers, shipping, the return and refund policy, his labor costs, his packaging, how it works, and some questions on this. But deciding the themes and then framing your questions is the right way, because you will save up a lot of time on this when you're analyzing the data. So yeah, let's assume we have done the 30 interviews and we have also done the contextual inquiry, that is going to the seller's place and understanding what he wants. I have a question from Vignesh. What's the duration of these user researches? It can vary. It can go, it can just get completed in about a week, to it can also go up to 6 months, depending upon the budget you have and the kind of market you're trying to understand. So once, let's say we've spoken to 30 sellers and contextual inquiry was also done, so we have a bunch of data. So in data collection and analysis phase, this is something which I call the empathy maps. So when you're empathizing with the users, you're just basically trying to understand what he thinks and feels, what he says and does, and what he sees and hears. So we categorize the user's responses on these four quadrants. So categorizing this would definitely help us in pre-designing the themes and to understand if the themes which were already predefined are the merchant's quotes in support to that. So here, what the merchant says, this is from just one of the merchant. We can do empathy map for one merchant alone. It cannot be a mix. You cannot do for two people in one empathy map. So here, this is an analysis method, and I have a, a response here. Yes, I do offer discounts up to 50% to attract new customers. So this definitely goes on with our theme that he is up for giving discounts. This is a perfect merchant who is up for giving discounts. So understanding, I think comprehensive selling will help me clear stock and improve sales volume. So this shows the desirability. So this again backs up with our theme. So here we're just getting more clarity into what kind of sellers should we target. So the clarity is starting one by one. Right now we're in the first step of the analysis. So once this is done, we will be getting some actionable insights or some insights which can be derived. And the next one, this is called the affinity maps. So affinity maps is basically not for one single user like the empathy map, but it is for a lot of users. I mean, each color of the sticky note here denotes a different user. So, but the themes which were predefined, deals and discounts, desirability, and business operations. So just the responses which the merchants gave in these three themes are quoted here. If you see deals and discounts, I would prefer giving additional 10 to 15% off if my sales volume is high. I mostly get offer buy one get one offer in my website and in Amazon. So this merchant offers, and everybody here are okay to give discounts, and this shows the desirability, what the predefined theme, and these responses show the business operations. So it's difficult to list products in Flipkart. There is a lot of manual work which is time consuming. So this is a very important insight. So he says that listing products is very difficult and it's a lot time consuming. So next one, once we've done with this affinity mapping, we will get even more clarity on who would be the perfect fit. So from this empathy map and this affinity map, we found out that most of the people who said these were large scale manufacturers who were willing to give discounts, who wanted to see high sales volume, who had the perfect labor and the operational capability to handle such things. They were the most important. Listing out was the profiling was done for manufacturers because this came out from all these analysis of these responses. Then here comes the persona. The persona is nothing but you just give an identity to who is your good fit for the platform, who will be the perfect fit, who is willing to give discounts, who has the operational capability, and who has the high desirability for this concept. So here we have a luggage manufacturer from Bangalore. He has 50 to 60 employees, and his products are travel bags and kits, and his online presence is Amazon own website, Flipkart, and IndiaMart. So this actually qualifies for a lot. I think from whatever we decided, it just qualifies a lot here. And we found out that his key attributes were strong interest, that shows desirability. He's a manufacturer, which is an advantage for him. His willingness to give high discounts, and his motivations are to clear old stock, to try new ideas, to grow business, and add revenue to his business. So one of his quotes are, usually in Flipkart we provide 40 to 50% off. If it is bulk sale, I can provide an additional discount of 15 to 20%. So if it, in Flipkart itself he provides 50% off, and if he's saying that if a bulk sale is happening, he can give an additional 20%. So that is a great thing. But he also has some frustrations. That is, old stocks are stagnant. His bulk orders get cancelled at the last minute, and find new ways to expand the business. So this basically qualifies for our predefined themes, and we're able to come to a conclusion that this kind of merchant would be the perfect fit in the platform. So that is a manufacturer who is into apparels and accessories industry, and he has a good employee capacity and a labor capacity of 50 to 60 employees, and he has a good online presence, and he's very desirable. So we made out that manufacturers who have the certain criterias are a good fit, so we can go ahead and recruit them. So this profiling was done, and after this profiling was done, then there was a lot of responses which was collected. The lot of responses were which included were from the 30 in-depth interviews, and the others were the contextual inquiry study that was done. So there is one question here: what type of deals or discounts do you offer? So each block here, I mean, or each cell here denotes one response from the merchants. And what we done here is like just to understand more, just to get other insights, like what else do these sellers need? What other problems are these sellers facing, or what are they happy with currently? So we do an analysis called thematic analysis. So thematic analysis, there are two approaches: the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. So the top-down approach is done when the themes are predefined, and the bottom-up approach is done when you don't have any themes. So basically, it's like you read through the responses and you start framing themes if we hadn't predefined the themes. Since we've already predefined the themes, so deals and discount is a theme, and corresponding to this question which we ask the merchants, we see what kind of discounts the merchants are willing to offer. One is flash sales, seasonal discounts, year-end discounts, buy one get one, minimum cart value discounts. So this will give an even better understanding of what are we achieving or where are we trying to go ahead with this product, and other insights like what additional features need to be added. So everything can be found out here. The next one is like after the buckets were formed. So basically we call these deals and discounts, these flash sales, seasonal discounts, year-end discounts, all these are buckets. So all these buckets were formed after coding all these responses. Coding these responses meaning reading through the responses and coming out with certain codes like flash sales, seasonal discounts, and it would be under the bucket of deals and discounts. And the next one is we try to understand. So actually, the thematic analysis itself is a separate session because I won't be able to explain this very quickly. It is a little in depth and a lot of points need to be understood for that. Just to give a brief overview and just touching the surface. So here, from the responses, from the desirability to give discounts, we found out when we coded three things. One is vertical, that is either home, fashion, electronics, or FMCG. The next one is the type, what type of seller he is he a retailer or a manufacturer, and the size of the establishment. So this cross analysis helped to uncover certain patterns from the research and define the problem and ideate the solution in a better way. So cross coding was done to identify the right segment of sellers on industry based on industry type and the size of establishment and what vertical they belong to. So this analysis again reflected back to the original themes, and they proved that whatever themes we had predefined is coming in place, and we are able to identify the right fit for our product. And this is the most important part, the key insights part. Like I told you, manufacturers and wholesalers showed high desirability. Products that are fast moving and have a high market appeal are strong fit as per the sellers. That is electronics, home decor, car accessories, and day-to-day essentials. Risk of returns and deliveries not being accepted at cash on delivery was identified as the main pain points post sales. So this came from thematic analysis. When we did a thematic analysis of the data, we found all these things. That is deliveries not being accepted at cash on delivery and risk of returns was a major pain point. Payments made upfront motivated the sellers. If the payments are made upfront, sellers are also ready to offer more discounts. Ease of listing products and 24/7 support was one of the major issues the currently sellers are facing in platforms like Amazon, IndiaMart, and Flipkart. Why Amazon, IndiaMart, and Flipkart? Because when we did that participation criteria, we had a termination. If they're not selling on all these platforms, then they're not qualified for this research. So that is why we have this data here. The next one would be increase in logistic cost and lack of manpower is a pain point. Sellers who had the capability to self ship showed high desirability. Ease of customer relationship management were expected from sellers in current e-commerce platform. So customer relationship management is basically they want to showcase their reviews, they want to send regular updates to the customers on when their product is arriving, all these things. So these were the key insights that were derived. Then from the key insights that were derived, just to go to our prototype, just before we go and make a small prototype or a minimum viability product or a wireframe of basically what it's going to look like, the most important factors from the interviews: manufacturer advantage, payments made upfront, ease of listing products, and 24/7 support, and good CRM. So these were the most important factors. And we have two quotes in the site: since I'm a manufacturer, I have a good stock capacity and can provide good discounts. Again, reflects back to the themes and the persona we formed. If I have a good support system and get assistance in listing products, it would be great. So he's saying that if he has a good support and assistance in listing products, he would be on for this idea. Then just giving more definition to all the questions we asked. And again, let's ask few more questions. How might we provide Indian online shoppers great deals and discounts? How might we improve the ecosystem in India without buyer seller bias centered on offers? Are we doing this to create a platform where offers are provided throughout the year? How might we maintain transparency of pricing? So this again, we came back to some insights before ideation, which gives a strength to the problem statement. And from there, we are trying to ideate the solution during brainstorming on how manufacturers from home decors, electronics, and FMCG can leverage this platform, which we decided to name as direct deals, to increase their sales volume and create clear pending stocks. They would also be given the visibility to showcase their brand to direct consumers, that is D2C, and vice versa. And consumers can also buy the products at lowest prices. So we have identified the manufacturer advantage here, and we are trying to help them clear their old and pending stocks by giving high discounts. And also these manufacturers would be getting high visibility since a lot of customers are coming and seeing your brand. So this again promotes that D2C kind of market. So this is how you ideate basically, just from the problem statement to ideation. This is how user research follows the ethical steps in each layer. So layer by layer, you go and you try to uncover some data. So this is mostly only possible through qualitative research. Quantitative research can be done after this, just getting a feedback or anything. But qualitative research helps us arrive at this ideation phase. So after the ideation phase, then we can go to a prototype phase where we decide to do a low fidelity wireframes. So low fidelity wireframes is basically from the research, from a researcher point of view, what do I understand? So I have 6 screens here. So here I'm like just going to step by step process of how the flow is going to be for seller onboarding from one step to the other. So currently, if you're a seller, you download the app and you enter the business registration number. This is just to confirm if you're a manufacturer or not. If you're not the manufacturer, then you won't be qualified, because from our study, we found out that manufacturers are showing high desirability and they have willingness to provide high discounts. The next one is list your products, increase visibility by entering your return policy, shipping info, business reviews, etc. If edible products, provide FSI number. This is since we also shortlisted FMCG as a category. Then this is like the deal preview, how it will look like. If he doesn't like the preview, the merchant can go and change it anytime. Then from here, he can go to your deals. So in your deals, basically, it's like you would be creating a deal in your product and you can see the members who have joined this deal. So basically what I told you upfront, this is not selling 100 products to one person like the traditional wholesaler and the manufacturer way, but we are bringing in 100 people to buy 100 products from a manufacturer. So that is why it shows Lucas joined, Sam joined, Mary joined. So here the 90%, the group is filled already. So here the manufacturer would have complete control to stop this at 90% fill and dispatch all the products. And the last one is a dashboard, which the customers had requested. They want a dashboard to see their performance. And we also have this 24/7 support, which is listed for these sellers, because from our current interviews what we did, we understood that what was actually going on. Yeah, so basically this is how you come from the basic problem statement and you ideate the solution and do a low fidelity wireframe. So after this low fidelity wireframe, there is mid fidelity and high fidelity. So usually UX designers and UI designers are involved here just to make that versions. And this is why I wanted to say that the collaboration part, you need to know whom to collaborate with, which teams to collaborate with. So yeah, I mean, like, this is how the flow is going, and we are able to identify what exactly we are able to how exactly we're able to arrive from a problem statement to ideating a solution. So in front of us, we have the idea, and it's definitely based on research and a lot of actionable information before we reached our end customers. So there is no hypothesis here. We're not assuming anything. So everything is based on the users who are going to be using your product. So this was from a seller perspective. If you also want to understand the buyer perspective, you can do a research on how well are people adapting to offers, just to understand how will the consumers come and interact with this particular product. So yeah, I think I've just explained about how this basic research thing works. So since we I did not have much time to explain on thematic analysis, because that itself is a separate concept. So yeah, I think let's go back to the questions now. So this is what, as a user researcher, this is what I do. So just keep in mind, guys, whenever you ask questions, ask a lot of questions, derive the metadata, then strengthen your problem statement, choose a user research method, then do proper analysis, and then come and ideate your product. So that's going to give more and more flexibility in the future stages, where you have to make less changes, or having less regrets about not doing enough foundational research. So yeah, definitely we could do a session on thematic analysis, because that is very interesting. And yeah, guys, I mean, I'll just go to other questions. Do you have any suggestions for finding these data points? Like, we recognized data sources. Yeah, so let me finish this question first from Abhishek. Do you have any suggestions for finding these data points? Like, we recognize data sources. So suggestions is only on the analysis method. So if you do the right analysis method, you won't miss out on any data. So just by skimming through data and not doing proper analysis, we will lose a lot of information. So choosing the right analysis method is also important. There are hundreds of analysis methods available, and choosing the right one and analyzing data is very important. So that's how we overcome that. And yeah, how is it to work as a user researcher at Google? So it's amazing to see the fact, because we get to work on a lot of products, and since Google is already established, so we get the privilege to go and talk to users and strengthen the foundations of our research. So some of the user research study even go up to a year, so which is not possible in a startup environment. But since most of the world is now currently on the internet, and we are trying to acquire the next billion users, it's very interesting to see how these consumers mindset is changing day by day. How the new generation, that is the gen excuse me how the Gen Z is adapting to technology. So what are their purchase habits? So what would they be more in sync with? What are the millennials major purchase habits, or what do they exactly want? So as a user researcher, you also need to understand the country's socio-economic causes of currently why we are here, combined with a lot of product knowledge. So having these two, along with a good ability to psychologically analyze a user, is definitely a very interesting thing to work in, trust me. So because this just gives the foundation for the product, and it gives a roadmap. It gives the product managers idea to create the roadmap in a better way. So it's great, Aishwarya. Yeah, let's see. Pratik, will someone with research background be good in user research? Specifically, what research background? I mean, that's a little unclear, but it's not like you have to have a background in research. That is, you need to basically have a degree in user research. It's about the interest. So currently, I'm seeing a lot of people from product teams who have become user researchers, because basically when we're building a product, it's not like you need to have I mean, you will have all the knowledge. I mean, a product manager is like, he'll be looking into so many things: the finance, the strategy, the user research part, the marketing, the sales, and everything. So it's more good to have a sense of business knowledge combined with a knowledge of understanding people. So that's definitely going to help. So there is no formal educational background, because I'm from an engineering background. I did my mechatronics, and right now I'm into user research, which is totally different. But again, when you start having your experiences and when you start having your realizations in your career, then you start coming and doing better things. It's I mean, for me personally, background is not defining anything in any career. It's just your interest. So yeah, guys. Hoping we'll have a next session on in-depth thematic analysis. But yeah, this is it for now, and it was great. I mean, I think we had a lot of interaction. It was really good sharing what I know and choosing the right user research method. So I would suggest you guys to understand more about deriving metadata. So what kind of data can be viable for your product? What kind of secondary research you need to do? So there is, you can actually follow some places like Interaction Design Foundation. So they have a good knowledge base on user research. There is Nielsen and Norman Group. So they also have some great background and some great knowledge that you guys can look up to for user research. So these two are personally what I prefer. Then also improving the product knowledge. So knowing the product is definitely make you very strong in research. Yeah, it was great, guys. Uh, it was great interacting with all of you. I'm looking forward for the next session. So I'll contact the organizers, and let's see if we can uh, have it on thematic analysis. But it was great. I mean, I love seeing all these interactions. So yeah, guys, just go look up into it and do your ground research on user research. Definitely, there's tons of data available on the internet. So yeah, guys, thanks for everyone's time. It was great. Have a good evening. Bye bye.